Okay, so this trip that I took up the south, through the South Island, up to the North Island, I'm going to go through all the costs. Pretty much the costs, which is charging. Um, and I'll talk about those. I'll get them up here in just a second. Okay, it's like magic. All of a sudden, all the costs have come up here. Now, let me start from over here. SI, South Island. I started at home, where it cost me absolutely nothing. Then I went up to Ethel, then to Frankton, then over the Crown Range to Wanaka for a course that cost me nothing as well because I stopped at a BP there. At that stage it was free. Then I drove all the way to Haast. Now there's no real DC charger in Haast. So I stayed at a holiday park there where they just charged me $20 and I plugged into the caravan port and it charged up overnight. Then I went to Francis Joseph. Then I went to Greymouth and all of the DC chargers were down. Well, I couldn't get the one at the warehouse to work and the main ChargeNet one was down at the moment, at that particular moment. I should have stopped in Hokitika, I did, but there was a Tesla park there, so I thought, oh, I've got enough charge to go to the next one. And I did, but unfortunately the next one was down, so that was a problem. So that $20 was, I just went to a hotel and stayed there until I got up to 50% and they just charged me $20. Then I quickly went to Reefton and filled up there, then went to Murchison, filled up there, went to Murchison, got there at some ungodly hour, like 12 o'clock, just after midnight, and just filled up there, and then went to the place I was staying at. Now, good thing is, if people haven't told you that already, is always to fill up at the end of the night rather than waiting to get in the morning, because the battery will still be warm, so it will charge up a little bit faster. And I think the limit for the bike that I was riding is pretty much 23, 24 kilowatts anyway. So most of these are 50 kilowatt chargers, except for Francis Joseph was 25. And they pretty much topped out for a while until I got up to about 80%. Then that was the South Island. Then I caught the ferry. Then the next day I went to Blenheim. There's a charger there at the warehouse which doesn't charge anything, so it's I filled it there. And that entire trip from the bottom of the South Island pretty much up the west coast cost me $69.08. Now, the next day I caught the ferry across, got in at, I think I went on the 2 o'clock ferry, I got in at 6 o'clock, I went to Nio, Town Hall or Community Centre or Library, I can't remember, and it's a free charger by Meridian, so I filled it up there. Then when I was there I met up with Sam Baker from New Zealand and a friend of his, Simon, who we had a look at my bike and sorted a few things out. Then I went to Shannon where there's 2 DC chargers there, and of course they were both occupied. But I went over to, Sam recommended I go over to I think it was a Thai takeaway there, and try and get some Marmite chicken. But unfortunately they only served that at dinner and I was there during the day. So I've left finding some space there, so I jumped in there and got charged up there. Then I went to the Pack and Save in Palmerston North and only put in $2.50's worth of charge there. I filled up there because my brother lives near Ashurst and I didn't want to go there and just hog his power. So I filled up there and then went to his place for Christmas. And then I think it was either Boxing Day or the day after, I started to go up to the East Cape. So I stopped at Eskdale after staying in Napier. And it was a BP charger, which was free at that time. I don't think it is at the moment. Then I went up to Wairoa and charged up there. I went to Gisborne to charge up there, and I couldn't get the charger to work at the warehouse there. But I had enough charge, so I went to Tolaga Bay, filled up there. Then went to Te Araroa, filled up there. Then Te Kaha. Oh no, actually, after that I stopped at Hicks Bay and stayed there the night. Then the following day, the roads were rubbish up there because it still washed out from the January in 2023 where there were some big floods and all that sort of stuff. Then the next day I got up from Hicks Bay, went to Te Kaha, filled up there. Went to Opotiki, but the charger was down. I called up ChargeNet, they said it was down, so they couldn't keep waiting. So I still had enough charge. I went to Whakatane and then filled up there. Then I was staying in Rotorua, so I stopped there at the Māori Cultural Centre there called Te Puia, I think. They have a charger, DC charger there, so I filled up there, and I was just around the corner of the holiday park, so that was no problem. The next day I was going down to National Park, and I stopped in Taupo, and then continued on to National Park. There were some serious floods between Taupo and Turangi. Across that, when you follow across the side of the lake, yeah, there were some serious floods there. But the bike handled it. And then the next day I left, again I filled up at the end of the days because the battery was warm. And then the next day I went all the way down to Fielding and filled up there, and then I headed out to my brother's place where I stayed the night. The next day I was catching the ferry, so I went down. On the way I filled up at Shannon, and then I went down to Nio, or there's another place in Kendala. They're both run by Meridian, and they're zero charges and they were free. So again, that was zero. And then my whole North Island up the east coast back down to Wellington was $54.09. Then finally, I think it was on like January the 2nd, I think, I went down to, it might have been 3rd, went down to Blenheim, again free there. Then I went to Kaikoura, filled up there, Amberley, filled up there. I stayed the night at a Lilo, I think it's called Lilo hostel in Christchurch near the airport. Very good place actually. But for some reason I couldn't charge anywhere around there. I think the charges were down or something. So I just went to Rollston. I tried the free ones at the warehouse. They weren't working, so I went to the paid ones. No problem. Then I went all the way down to Timaru. Ooh, I almost went into double figures with the charge there. Ooh, there's no need for that. $9.07. Then I went from to Amaru, then to Dunedin. I filled up to 82%, and then drove all the way home. And the reason I put zero there is because most of the time I just charge off the solar panels. And when you charge from home, the AC port for the Energicas only do 3 kilowatts. So my solar panels are 5 kilowatts, so they easily fill up and don't use any other power. So that's zero. Again, from I think it was the Otago DC that I filled up there to home, I went from 82 down to 3%. At the end I could tell when I opened up the throttle it was not responding as well as it has in the past, so I could tell I was low down the battery. And I got home yesterday with 3%, so I used about 79% from Dunedin to home, which is about 186 kilometres. Now the grand total, which is an energy company in Europe, Total, but the total was $166.08 for the entire trip. Now I'm going to break it down in cents per kilometre in just a second. Okay, so let's go back to some big sums. You can tell I used to be a math teacher. Mathematics was my thing. Okay, so total kilometres ridden for the entire trip, all the South Island up to the North Island, back to the South Island, was 3,575 kilometres. Now that was at, as we worked out before, $166.08. So the cost per kilometre, if you do a little bit of mathematical magic, you get to 4.6 cents per kilometre. Let's just round it all up to about 5 cents per kilometre. Now, the way I do it, there was some free stops, blah, 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 blah. But I worked out, worst case scenario, if I had to pay the market rates for electricity, the most I would pay if charged the cost of about 80 cents per kilowatt hour, which is pretty much what charges on all the DC chargers. There are some that are 40 cents. I think the Taupo one is 40 cents, the one near the fire station. But anyway, as my economy was around about 11 kilometres per kilowatt hour, that meant I would have used about 325 kilowatt hours for the entire trip. Now, if you work out that times 80 cents, it comes to $260, which is still only 7.3 cents per kilometre. Obviously a bit more than that, but so be it. But you may well say, oh, but they're going to bring in those road user charges as of the 1st of April 2024. Of course, we're in March, so it hasn't quite happened yet. It's March the 22nd. But even with the road user charges, that'll add another 7.6 cents per kilometre because you pay 760 for 10,000 k's, I think, or something like that. So that means that'll boost that up to, I've done a little bit of approximately 15 cents per kilometre. So you may well think, how does that compare to travelling in a car, which of course has twice as many wheels than a motorcycle? But even so, for a petrol or gas car in New Zealand, average, I looked this up on the internet the other day, and the internet never lies, so all is good. Works out to be about, the average car is about 9 litres per 100 kilometres. Like I had a car once that did about 4.5, but anyway. And at the time, our petrol gasoline was about $2.77 per litre. Now, what I've done here is I worked out obviously how many 100 k's go into this 3,500, and it's 35.75. If I multiply that by 9, that means I would use 321.75 litres. And again, at that cost per litre, it comes to a grand total of $891.25. Now, one cost I haven't included on this is going across the ferry, which I think was $159 each way, so that would have been another $310. But if you're taking a car over, it's a lot more than that. It's probably closer to $200 each way, I think. So I'm excluding those, just the fuel costs. That works out to be approximately, well, not approximately, it comes to something like 24.94, so I rounded that up to 25 cents per kilometre. So you can see it's not quite double the cost of what an electric motorcycle will be, but it would be 10 cents more per kilometre. And if you're travelling at 100 k's, a kilometre travel goes by in less than a minute. That's about 40 seconds actually. But anyway, that's a different problem to work out. But I discovered something the other day when I was reading the interweb, because of course everything on the internet is true, that only electric vehicles over 1,000 kilograms will be charged the road user charges. Now this motorbike, even though it's heavy, does not weigh anywhere near 1,000 kilograms. So I may not even be paying road user charges. So, in that case, let's just stick with the 5 cents per kilometre, which is a fifth of what a car would use. But yeah, motorcycles and cars are much different beasts. I had a motorcycle which did about 5 litres per 100 k's, and even so, that would be, if you'd use 5 litres, it would be, I'd use half of that, so let's say 5 times that, again it'll be 100, same as what I worked out for the car before. So that is all I've got for you today. Again, it appears to be cheaper driving an electric vehicle than it does for a gas vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle or a car, even with the road user charges. So if people are saying, oh, now that I have to pay the road user charges, it's not worth it. Well, according to my calculations, it probably still is. You'll definitely save yourself some pennies, even though electric vehicles are still more expensive to purchase. But, you know, sometimes things cost money. People. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much, and check it out. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, as LEG used to say. Anyway, see you next time. Okay, end of video discussion, as per most times. Whenever you buy an EV or you look at one online, it'll always give you the battery size, and then it'll say usable. And the reason why they do that is because the battery always has, for longevity, it has a bit at the top that you can't use, it's called a buffer. There's a bit at the bottom that you can't use, which is a buffer. So why they actually tell you how big the battery is if you can't use it, some of it, I have no idea. I reckon they should only just tell you this is how much you can use. This is the usable amount of battery. For example, a reasonably sized car might have a 90 kilowatt hour battery, but then it might tell you in the print 85 kilowatt hours is usable. It's like, I don't understand why they tell you how big the battery is, because most people don't care about those buffers at top and the bottom. It's like saying, oh, this new car that you've got has got 6 cylinders. Oh, but by the way, yeah, we're only allowing you to use 4. So what's the point? It's like having a 60-litre fuel tank, but then saying, oh, but you can only use 45 litres of it. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anyway, I don't know why they do that. It must be a marketing thing. I'm not a marketer, so I don't understand it. Anyway, see you later.